6 in the morning. Your alarm goes off, and for the first time in your life, it does not matter. A robot took your job last night. It also took your boss's job and her boss's job and the job of the guy who signs the checks. And here is the strange part. At noon, the government pays you anyway. Money for simply being alive. Welcome back to the Academy. Today we find out whether free money forever is paradise or the biggest trap ever built. Here is how this works. Overnight, the machines got good at everything. Cooking, driving, surgery, plumbing, even writing birthday cards that make your aunt cry. This is not a distant fantasy, by the way. There are already almost 5 million industrial robots working on this planet right now. And in our scenario, they simply finish the job by breakfast. No human has a job anymore. Not one. In exchange, every adult gets the same deal. A check arrives every month. No conditions, no paperwork, no boss, no alarm clock. Economists call it universal basic income. Your uncle calls it the end of civilization. Your neighbor calls it Tuesday. Nobody agrees on what it really is, which is exactly why it is today's lesson. Take notes. The quiz is your entire future. Minute 1. The last human employee on Earth, a night shift security guard named Dave, clocks out for the final time and shakes hands with the robot replacing him. The robot is already better at the job, mostly because Dave slept through his shift, and the robot never will. Half the planet celebrates in the streets. The other half stares at the ceiling and asks the scariest question in the entire language. So what do I do now? And in a gray building downtown, a printer the size of a bus warms up and starts printing the very first checks. Which raises the first real problem of the new world. Who exactly is paying for this? Our one belongs, as always, to the napkin. Say the check is $1,000 a month for every adult in the country. Write it down, multiply it out, and you get about $3 trillion a year. For scale, that is roughly half of everything the federal government currently spends. On everything. The army, the highways, the space program, the cheese reserves, all of it. So where does the money come from? In this scenario, one place. The robots. The machines do the work, the machines create the wealth, and the government takes a slice of every robot's output, like a payroll tax on a worker who never sleeps, never strikes, and never asks to speak to the manager. The robot flips 10,000 burgers a day and does not want to eat a single one of them. That slice becomes your check, which sounds beautifully clean, until you ask the one question that decides this entire episode. Who owns the robots? Hold that thought. First, the couch. Day 1. Everyone expects the couch apocalypse. 8 billion people in pajamas, civilization dissolving into one long nap. Except here is the twist. We have actually run this experiment for real in miniature, and that is not what happened. Finland picked 2,000 unemployed people and gave them free money every month for 2 years, no strings attached. Keep it even if you find work. The result? They worked slightly more than the people who got nothing, and they were measurably happier. Less depression, less stress, more trust in their own future. Stockton, California ran it too. $500 a month, no conditions. The people receiving it moved into full-time jobs at more than double the pace of the control group, because free money bought them the things a job search actually costs. Time to interview. Car repair. A deep breath. It turns out the human urge to do something does not die when the paycheck stops being mandatory. People kept building. They just built what they wanted to build. Week 1. And now the strangest fact of the episode, because the model for all of this already exists in America, and it has been running for over 40 years. Alaska. The state collects a share of its oil wealth into one giant fund, and every single Alaskan, every man, woman, and child, gets a dividend check every year, just for living there. Nobody up there calls it radical. It is the most popular policy in the state, defended by every politician who enjoys being a politician. Now swap oil for robots and you have our scenario. But notice the quiet trick that makes Alaska work. The people own the fund together. So ask the big question again. Who owns the machines? Because if the answer is everyone, a little, you get Alaska with burgers. And if the answer is Five Guys entirely, you get something much, much darker. Month 1. The money problem is solved and a new problem crawls out from under it. The meaning problem. For your entire life, the second question every stranger asks is, so, what do you do? And for the first time in human history, nobody has an answer. Some people flourish immediately, the gardeners, the grandparents, the guy who always wanted to build a canoe. Others discover that the job they complained about for 30 years was quietly holding their whole identity upright, like a tent pole they never noticed. The couch is comfortable. The couch is also very, very quiet. And a check, it turns out, can buy you time, but it cannot tell you what the time is for. Month 6. The fork in the road, and both paths are real. Down the first path, the robot wealth is shared like Alaska's oil. Your check is a dividend, your country is the shareholder, and people spend their years painting badly, coaching Little League, caring for their parents, and starting glorious businesses that fail without hurting anyone. Employment stops being mandatory, so unemployment stops being a word. Down the second path, the machines belong to a handful of owners, and your monthly check is not a dividend. It is a leash, exactly big enough to keep you quiet, exactly small enough to keep you powerless. You cannot strike because you have no labor left to withhold. The robots do not read picket signs. Same check, same amount. In the first world, it makes you free. In the second world, it makes you a pet. So here is the real lesson, and it was never about the robots. Free money does not make people lazy. That is the myth, and the data keeps refusing to cooperate with it. Finland, Stockton, Alaska, again and again, people with a floor under their feet take more risks, not fewer. They start businesses. They leave terrible jobs. They go back to school. What a check cannot buy is power, because a check is not a share. The entire robot future collapses into one boring, load-bearing word: ownership. The machines are coming either way, 500,000 new industrial robots every single year. The question was never whether they take your job. The question is whether you own a piece of what replaces you, or whether the thing that replaces you is owned by someone who now also, effectively, owns you. Which brings us to the grand finale. 1 year in. Remember the diner? It reopens. The robot runs the grill and, let us be honest, it is flawless. Never burns a patty, never sneezes, never quits to find itself. Grandma is in the corner booth, obviously coffee and exact change. But look at the wall. Next to the framed $9,000 menu from the bad old days, there is a new frame. A stock certificate. This diner is owned by the neighborhood. 1 share per person. Dividends every quarter. The robot flips, the town collects. There is still a tip jar. The label says, for the humans. We just like them. And the sign in the window says it all. Help wanted. Nobody. And that is fine. Epilogue. Dave, the last employed human in history, now coaches a kids' soccer team that has never won a single game. He has never been happier. His old robot replacement stands in the parking lot on its day off, faithfully watching a building that no longer needs watching. Some habits, it turns out, were never about the paycheck. Dave learned that. So can you?
Is the deal. Before you go, nobody is mailing you a robot dividend this year, but the principle under it, it works at any size. Own a slice of something, any slice, a tiny font, a skill, a tool that earns you while you sleep. The difference between the paycheck and the share is simple. The paycheck stops the moment you stop. So this month, get one small piece of something that works without you. That is not advice, this is arithmetic. Class is never really dismissed.
Next time at the academy, we press the biggest red button on the panel. At midnight tonight, money itself stops existing. Every bank account, every coin, every crumpled bill in every pocket on earth, gone at once. No prices, no debts, no savings, no allovance. 8 billion people wake up owning nothing and owing nothing. Bring a chicken. You are going to need something to trade. You have been watching the Absurd Academy, where the scenarios are fake and the lessons are load-bearing. Class dismissed.